Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. And if you've watched before or listened before, thanks very much for coming back. My guest today, and I'm proud to say new friend, is Leonie Dawson. She's an international best-selling author and artist who many of you may already know. She is also a serial entrepreneur and has built 3 7-figure companies. Leonie has been recognized for her business acumen as a finalist for the Australian Businesswoman of the Year and Ausmumpreneur of the Year. I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation of that right, but obviously she's from Australia. Leonie is also one of the warmest, most genuine, creative, fun women I've ever met. Her art is a joyful reflection of how I imagine she might see the world. She lives on the Sunshine Coast in Australia with her husband and her 2 homeschooled daughters. I'm so excited to bring you Leonie today, and I can't imagine you won't enjoy her as much as I have. Before we get into the show, there is one housekeeping detail I want to share. I'm very excited to tell you that I now have a place for listeners of the show to join, and I'd love to see you there. I opened a Facebook group called Incidental Joy Seekers, where we discuss topics from the podcast as well as how to create and share joy. I believe that it's through enjoying and creating joy with the little things that we can accomplish the big things in life. So to join, just go to facebook.com/groups/incidental joy seekers. It is a closed group, so just ask to join and we will let you in. Thanks very much, and here's Leonie. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. And today I'm so excited because I've met a new friend and I'm talking to Leonie Dawson. And many of you already know her, but today we're going to learn more about who Leonie is and more about her work and her life and whatever she wants to share with us. So welcome, Leonie. Thanks for
Oh, thanks, Jan. It's a joy to be here, and I love connecting with new people, and it's a beautiful thing.
And for those of you who didn't know before, you may have detected already, Leonie is from Australia and that beautiful accent.
I am. I'm on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, which is just gorgeous. I'm not far from the beach, and we're on um, nearly 2 acres, and the sun's just about to rise, and it's just stunning. I'm so lucky.
You know, I noticed since you mentioned the morning, I noticed on your website you have so many free resources. It's just amazing how many resources you have on there, including some morning. I don't remember the title, but it was
The
about,
morning goddess. How to be a
okay,
morning goddess, I think. Yeah.
thank you. So, how are you a morning goddess?
Oh, so for me, it's just whatever I need at that point. And so for me, sometimes being a morning goddess is if I don't have to be somewhere, it means that my husband gets up early and looks after the kids, and I sleep until 8 o'clock because that's what I like doing. Sometimes, if I've got more energy, then I'm up earlier. Um, and a warm cup of something is always the way to get started. And also just realizing, like, for me, being a morning goddess doesn't necessarily mean like I'm going to get up and meditate straight away or anything like that, because I'm really woozy. Like in the mornings, if I wake up early. So sometimes it just means like having some quiet time, sitting by myself on the phone for a bit until I wake up, because I've got small children and like the onslaught is kind of huge, waiting for my brain to wake up. It's just asking myself each time, like, okay, what is it I need right now? How can I just take care of myself? And doesn't necessarily mean like green smoothies and yoga at dawn.
I hear you. And what I'm really picking up on that is that you're honoring what you really need at the time, not a prescription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like not having really judgment about it as well. It's okay. Like for me to like when I go sit on my phone for 20 minutes while my brain wakes up, like It's actually totally fine.
Mhm,
Um, and it's fine if I choose something else as well,
mhm.
but I don't need to live somebody else's life, and I don't need to judge myself for wanting what I want and needing what I need in order to just wake up and switch my brain on for the day.
Mhm. Yeah, those words you added about not having judgment to me are so profound because if we in our world could erase that one element, I think it would be a very different world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried when I first had my first daughter, which is nearly 10 years ago now. Um, I ran myself absolutely ragged and I lost a lot of weight. I was kind of skeletal and um, very anxious and very depressed. And I remember my husband took me out to a cafe and he said, "Okay, I've got a pen and a paper here. I want you to sit down and write down all the things that are the most important things that you need to do. And I'll do the same thing." And so he sat and wrote his list, and I sat and wrote my list. And mine ended up just being this huge entire list about how I needed to grow an organic garden so that I could like harvest all my own food and then make all of the food for my daughter and and then do this and then do that. And it was just extreme. Um, and like at the end, my husband said, "Okay, show me your list." And I showed it to him. He said, "Wow, okay, I understand why you're just a complete mess right now. It's actually like humanly impossible for you to do all those things at this point in our lives." Um, and I said, "Oh, can I see your list then?" And he showed it to me, and it was just really simple. And it said, "Take care of Leonie, take care of our daughter, take care of myself, and be happy."
That's so
You know?
beautiful.
But it was so simple, and he's just such a gift in, like, being simple,
Mhm,
um, showing me the simplicity instead of the complexity. So,
mhm.
whenever I kinda lose my way and going, "Oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that," I sort of look at my husband and go, "Oh, okay, no, it's actually okay just to have very few priorities,
Wow.
um, and just being gentle with oneself as we go."
That's really beautiful. I want to go backwards in your life
Yeah.
because I want to talk about how you got to the tremendous business that you have and how my printer is making noise. I'm sorry about
It's
that.
Your printer's like, "I'm here. I've got things to say."
It just
Usually
woke. Oh my
when I'm
goodness.
doing podcast, it's people with dogs that like dogs are like, "Rawr!" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go. It's the token dog." But you've got the token printer.
I had the token dog until recently, so I guess my printer stepped in its place. Yeah.
Oh, love. Oh, love. I'm sorry. Did your dog pass?
Yeah.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. It's such a it is a family member completely and entirely. They're just treasures. They're such treasures.
Thank you. And she would let herself be known on podcasts from time to time. Yeah.
Of course. Of course. What was her name?
Colette.
Oh, the treasure, the treasure. I have my dog Charlie passed away a couple of years ago, and it's still like whenever I see a dog that's his breed, I just burst into tears. I just miss him so much. But I got like a custom artwork done of him, and it looks so much like him. And we take it whenever we've moved house, he's like pride of place, and we take it in the car with us. It doesn't go in the movers. Like our painting of Charlie stays with us.
Yes. Oh, you do understand. Yeah, I'm holding it together for now, but yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Um, thank you for
Bless
understanding.
you.
Yeah.
Bless you. I get it.
Um, so
So we're going backwards.
thank you. We'll stay on track together. Um,
I know. I know. Puppy grief is such a big one.
yeah. Um, so yes, your business and your life now are very successful and very large. And from what I understand from researching you, you started out working for the government. Is that right in your career?
I did. I did. So I wanted to change the world. And my parents told me that growing up that I couldn't have a creative career because you wouldn't make money that way, and that I couldn't have a business because 95% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. That was kind of drummed into me and my siblings, um, which is funny now because out of the four of us who are still alive, three of us are business owners.
Maybe
I,
the lesson in overcoming obstacles or messages or
yeah,
something.
yeah, I know, and we were all really successful, like, and so I'm just like, "Ah, that's really funny." So anyway, I kind of took it to heart in my early years and thought, "Okay, well, if I can't change the world that way, then, um, I will become Prime Minister of Australia." Um, because I'm kinda like I'm somebody who has very big goals, and so I'm like, "Well, that's the next available option then." So I moved to Canberra, which is Australia's capital city, and I worked in government and I worked in Parliament House, I worked for ministers, and it was fascinating, and very interesting. And I realized really quickly, within a few years, that no, this is not the path for me, and that I wouldn't be able to make the changes that I wanted to, and that I wouldn't be able to keep my sensitivity um, in that space. I wouldn't be able to bring my whole self. um, because they work incredibly hard. Like ministers will work from 6 a.m. to midnight regularly. And they are dealing with pissed off people all day long.
Mm.
And it gave me a real awareness like being a politician is tough and you need to have real thick skin, and I don't have thick skin, and I also don't have the kind of physical fortitude to be able to work those hours, nor do I have the inclination. um, so I was about 22 or 23 when I decided, no, I'm going to pursue something else, and started my business and started blogging and built a business that way.
Did you start blogging before you created art, or were you doing art along at the same time you were working for the government? How did all of that come about? Because you're an incredible
Oh,
artist. Also.
oh, thank you. It was all at this. It was all at the same time. Like I've never not done art, and
Mhm.
I've never not written, and I've always created. And usually, it's in the space of my journals. So I have big, thick art journals with art and writing in it. So for me, writing and art have been completely intertwined, and often my artwork has writing in it as well. Um, and it's funny. I went to boarding school. I sent myself to boarding school for my last couple of years of high school. Oh, it's the best decision ever. And I would pass my art journal around to everyone. So, like, I was in a dorm with 20 other girls, and my journals would just make laps. And that's probably like all you need to know about me. In that, like, there's no like, if I create, there's nothing really private. I just want to share. And
Oh.
so, as soon as I realized that blogging meant that you could share your journal with everyone, I was on board.
It's such a gift, though, that gift of connection. Yeah, it's a real gift. You
Oh,
mentioned,
thank you.
yeah, you mentioned that you couldn't keep your sensitivity in that government world. And to me, that was a really important phrase because I um, think there are environments that I too have experienced where it's real challenging to keep that level of sensitivity that I've known. What do you personally need to keep your sensitivity?
It's weird. Like as I get older, I need more. I
Mhm.
need more to keep it the equilibrium. I don't know. I used to work in the public service right up until 10 years ago, and now I just think, yo, how did I do it?
Mhm.
I guess you just get used to it. For me, it means um, a lot of quiet time and a lot of home time, um, a lot of rest. So I usually sleep between 8 and 10 hours a night,
Mhm.
and I need it. And I actually feel it. Like last night, we went to bed about 8:30 to read, and I was just kind of stimulated by some ideas that I'd had during the day, and some, like, I'd watched a 20-minute video and it just blown my head off. And so I actually just went to sleep at 8:30 because that's the best way for me to process everything. So I usually lay awake for, I don't know, about 30 minutes or an hour at least, allowing my brain just to like sift through everything and feel everything. Um, and then I'll, kind of create when that's kind of augmented inside me and settled and processed inside me. But yeah, it needs a lot. And usually I can't do much social stuff. So I don't do any live events. I rarely do um, even calls. I limit to maybe 2 a week, 3 a week max.
Hmm.
Um, Everything sort of has to be kind of quiet and reflective
Hmm.
in order for me to not get overstimulated.
Hmm. And that creative process that that you're allowing to, I call germinate, when that
Yeah.
goes in and then comes out. Do you have specific times where you set aside for it to come forward? How do you work with that?
Oh, that's a good question. So I have about 2 hours in the studio every afternoon, like on weekdays, and that's for working in my businesses, and it's also just doing whatever I want.
Mhm.
So sometimes that looks like just laying down. Sometimes that looks like making art. Sometimes that looks like writing. Whatever. It's just my private time,
Mhm.
and I'm very grateful to have it.
Yeah, yeah. So you're really honoring that creativity, whatever it
Yeah.
looks like,
Um,
right?
Well, I'm also gonna I'll curl up and shrivel up if I don't have that like essential time to myself, and I can do whatever I want in that essential time. Sometimes I read gossip, like gossip websites, um, like celebrity gossip websites.
It's creative too, though, because
That's
I
what I
think
want. Um, yeah, like it's sort of like I'm just like I'm interested in how other people live their lives, and I'm like, really? Is that the choices they've made? Okay. Um, yeah. So I whatever wants to come through, I let it come through. And sometimes like projects like to jump on me as well. And I call it riding the wild donkey.
mhm,
Like a donkey turns up in your paddock and you've got to ride it until it's finished
mhm,
and it's yours. And so I tend to be like immersed heavily in one project or in quiet time. So I just finished up 30 artworks in 3 weeks. Um, in a couple of weeks, I'll do a, a a 4 week course and kind of churn that out all at once. So it kind of comes in cycles, and I'll dive heavily into something.
mhm. So, in terms of how your business and your life have merged in integrating your creativity and your outward business, I'm trying to put a picture of it together in my own mind, and how
Yeah,
your artwork and your journals, because from an outward perspective it all is so incredible that it's hard for me to separate it. It's my shining business journal, my shining life, my shining biz. I mean, there's so much. It's such a wonderful offering, really, for people to take part of, because you've done retreats, you've done a academy, you've done a lot of different ways of teaching it. And so, what I'm wondering is if you've had all of that art. Um, oh, how would I evolve? I guess is the word that I'm looking for. Evolve with you as you've grown through the years, also.
sure. Um, I think my art has kind of stayed a very like very similar to um, how it's always been. Once I developed a style, I was like, yeah, cool, I'm in. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And so consequently, like the 30 artworks I just did was actually to do a commission style called Soul Story Messages that I started at the very first, like the very beginning of my business, like 15 years ago. And they were really hugely successful. And then 10 years ago, I decided to take a hiatus from doing them, and it took me 10 years to offer them again. And so 10 years between creating the last one and 30 more when I opened up for more commissions. And it was amazing. It was just like, oh, no, I know how to do this. Like, I can do this. Like, it's ingrained. It's like muscle memory for me.
Mhm.
So the artwork has stayed pretty similar. I do like to play with mediums all the time, but in terms of like my core art style, it's pretty much the same. In
Okay.
terms of my writing style, I think it's gotten more vulnerable perhaps as it goes. Um, and I'm much more happy to talk about the more difficult things now, I think. But then I also look back and I've written some really like brave stuff about difficult times, like even when I was 21, 22. Um, but I think in terms of really diving deep into talking about mental health and
Mhm.
um, really challenging stuff, I'm braver with my writing now. And I can't separate that from my business because that is my business.
What is your goal with your business?
Just
What
to create.
but
Just
with your creation though, why? Why?
oh, I d- I've just had a really strong sense, even since I was a really small child. I remember when I was 4 at kinder and was asked what I was, what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I said a writer or an artist. That's all I've ever wanted to do. That's I knew that I was here on this planet for that, is to turn up and create whatever's inside me and share it with the world. And whatever happens when it gets shared with the world isn't isn't really my business.
Mhm.
But I do notice that it usually helps people feel a lot less alone.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's what I was curious, whether that connection was part of it or whether it was to elicit something. I was curious if you had that as part of your, desire, you know?
I think the desire most well, one, if I know anything and somebody wants to know it, I will 100% tell them. Like I'm a helper. Like, okay, I know how to build a business now. Do you like, okay, you want to know? Okay, I'll tell you everything.
Uh-huh.
Uh, like in terms of personality, like if I was a dog, I would be a Labrador. I'm just like, I'm here. I'm here. So I'm happy to share and write and create courses on everything I know, especially the things that people ask me. And I always actually create courses on the stuff that people want to know so that I don't have to repeat it more than once because I fucking hate that. Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you're gonna
okay.
have to put an explicit label on your
Yeah.
podcast. There's so many podcasts I've been on, like the really like the really, really popular ones, and they're like have to mark it as explicit for the first time, and they have me on, and I'm like, ha! The
Yeah.
Australian is here, wrecking your podcast.
You're not the first guest, and people are surprised that I swear, but I swear a lot. So,
Yay!
yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know why that's surprising, but it's surprising. Yeah.
Well, it's like in Australia, it's like much. It's more socially acceptable, I've discovered, than in America because Americans are like, oh, you curse, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm Australian. Like it's our national vernacular. It's sort of like the Scottish are similar, the English are similar in terms of the swearing capacity.
I'm noodling around an idea for an article on why swearing is a spiritual practice.
Ooh, sign me up.
Okay. I think there's something there. I really do.
I 100% think so too. And also because it's sort of I think it's like showing like all yourself to the world. This is how I actually really feel.
Mhm,
And it's different when like you're an effing
mhm,
F head. It's different from actually just going, F this.
mhm, mhm. And I know a lot of very, very spiritual people who swear,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not, against people. I mean, it's
No.
not targeted in putting
No.
people down in any way. So there's something there that I haven't quite figured out enough to be able to write on, but I'm working on it.
I
'Cause
think it's just being all yourself in the world, and just saying how things truly are. And that's spiritual.
mhm, and there's no pretension behind it, there's not that gloss of because that glossiness really bothers me. I don't like pretension at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially in the spiritual world. You just want real.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and not speaking in, like, hippie wanky speech all the time as well, like
Yeah. Yeah. That's not going to go over well on the recording, I know, but oh well.
Yeah. I dig it. I dig it. I'm here for it.
So tell me, I want to talk more about your art, okay? Because it's so fun.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
what mermaids represent to you. I'm intrigued by all the mermaids in your art.
Oh, um, so I just looked up and there's this absolutely massive canvas, like it's 2 meters by 1.5 meters, and I'm in our bedroom. Um, and it is me and my husband on our wedding day, and we're both kind of wearing white and cream, and we're walking into the ocean together. And our first date was at a beach, and we got engaged at that same beach. And then 10 years to the day of our date, we went back to that same beach and got married. Um, and so for us, we're Scorpios, we're water people. The ocean is a really important part of our lives, and it's something that we've moved across the country for, because we feel better as humans when we are near the ocean. Um, and it's always been the mermaid life for me, mermaid and my merman, and water is just hugely important. And I love when I take my husband to the beach and he just looks out over the water, and I just know that it's kind of like his soul is at ease.
Mhm.
And he said to me on that first date, he said to me, um, I think I like being at the water so much because my soul looks out through my eyes and likes what it sees when it sees the water. And that's kind of been a really big defining factor in our lives. It's really important for us, obviously.
Mhm. Mhm. Uh, it's really, really special, and I think it's always really, in my way of thinking, I love when there's a connection to our personal life in our work and our business. So for you to share that it's so important to you and your husband, and now know that that's recreated in the work that you do, that makes it so special in every way, doesn't it? To have those
Yeah.
carryovers,
Well, it wouldn't occur to me to have anything else. Like everything I
right?
do, even if it's a business, is intensely personal,
Right.
because otherwise it wouldn't matter to me.
Yeah. A friend and I just this week were talking about how life is so integrated. If we try to
Yeah.
separate one from the other, it just doesn't work. And
Yeah.
it's only when we do allow it to be integrated that it does work well.
Yeah.
And I see that also in the way that you approach spirituality. It's so much a part of everything you do rather than separating it as, I don't know what, a topic or a discussion.
Yeah.
It's just part of everything
Yeah.
because it is. Um, can you address how you think of that or how you've encountered that with your clients or anything like that, or customers, or what do you call them, customers or followers or clients? What do you,
Oh,
when I
it's
said
just
the word,
they're just kind of my circle, my people, and
okay.
I feel really lucky. And uh, if I'm lucky enough to meet them in real life, they're just friends.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to my customer service staff, I'm like, you treat everyone like they're our friends, because so many of them are, and so many are friends, that I've gone to school with, or that I've met, and then they know about my work, or they know my work, and then I've met them and we've become friends, or whatever. So I would be so embarrassed if we treated any friend badly. You know what I mean?
I do know.
Um, yeah. So we treat our people as friends because they are, and I feel very grateful that they've trusted me to help them in however way I can help them. Now, in terms of your question, I've completely forgotten.
Spirituality. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
For me, I've lived a compartmentalized life before in terms of working in the government, and I worked in as a legal secretary as well. And where you can't be your whole self at work, and you can't share your innermost feelings, and you can't create, and you can't just go, oh, this is who I am, and this is what I want to share with the world. Like that's not how that works. And so I didn't want to recreate that in a business. When I had a business, I was like, I want to be all of myself and bring all of my gifts and all of myself to this. So when I created that, it was so that there's not really any differentiation between business Leonie and personal Leonie. It's
Mm.
just personal Leonie sharing her offerings with the world in a container. And in terms of like spirituality, for me, it's changed. Um, my spirituality, like my 20s, were definitely about searching and wanting to be A plus at spirituality. And I was definitely in like the New Age and the goddess traditions and that kind of stuff, which was really beautiful. But when I had children and started um, experiencing really difficult things in terms of postnatal depression, and my family of origin imploded when my parents separated, um, and just going through some really difficult times, grief and loss. Um, Now in my 30s, I find that kind of that seeking and pushing and attainment isn't helpful, and I'm much more agnostic than I was, um, but kind of leaning back into Buddhism again, because it's just an education of the mind. And it doesn't really matter what you call your spirituality, because for most of us, it doesn't fit neatly into one box anyway. But I think what matters is just finding something that works for you, whether that's atheism or
Mhm.
um, or a blend, or strictly adhering to one. I had one friend who was really struggling in his early 20s, and he became a Hare Krishna, and it was the best thing for him,
Mhm.
honestly.
Mhm.
And he was in there for quite a while, and it brought huge growth to him. And then I had another friend who became a born again Christian for a while,
Mhm.
um, and he's now a full blown atheist. But it was the perfect thing for him at the time, and so these paths take us and develop parts of ourselves, and it's always such a blessing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the labels are just labels, and
Yeah,
they have different colors to them, but in the end, they're all very, very much the same with just
yeah,
different flavors.
yeah.
Um, how would you like to be known in the big picture of life? If we're looking back at Leonie Dawson, and let's say we're going to paint a picture of, I don't even call it spirituality, but the world at large, and we're above it, and we're looking down at Leonie's life as she's known. How would you like to be known?
I think I just like to be a lighthouse. So I'd like to just shine my light because that's what I do. And if it helps illuminate other people's paths, then I'm grateful.
Um, you have lots of encouraging words. I was going to say inspirational words, encouraging, motivational in your messaging. Are there
Mm.
any that you rely on for yourself on a regular basis?
So I don't usually have an inner critic in my head. I haven't really experienced it. I experienced it once when I went into I had a deep depressive episode. Um,
Sorry,
I think it must be
that's
about 18 months ago. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
it was horrific, but it was such a breakthrough. Like, it was brilliant. But I got to discover during that what an inner critic is. I was like, "This is bullshit.
Good for you. Kick that.
This sucks. Is this what other people are going through? Like, ew." Um, ugh, because I just felt really captured by it. Like, I couldn't make a decision because every decision I make was screwed, and I couldn't make good decisions, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, ew.
It's a weird phenomenon though, isn't it? I mean, the whole yeah.
Such a weird phenomenon, because for me, I usually have an inner cheerleader, and it's something that I've had since I was a small child, and I'm so grateful for it. I would get bullied at school, and I'd be like, well, that's okay. They're miserable, because only miserable people
Mhm.
try and hurt other people, and I actually really like being me. I really love being me. I'm like, it's okay, Leonie, I'm here. I'm like your best friend, and we will be together forever. Like, that's my inner cheerleader. And I feel so lucky. And um, I remember when I was 14, and this teenager at my high school, who were all teenagers, she's picking on somebody else in the line as we're waiting to go into class. And I turned to her and I said, "Do you love yourself?" And she goes, "Ugh, why would you even ask that? No, of course I don't love myself. Ugh, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, I'm," and then she's like, "Do you love yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I'm just so grateful. I love myself so much, and I'm so grateful to be me." And she was like, "Ugh, weirdo." Um, but I just thought it was so important to bring up the fact that maybe if you loved yourself more, you wouldn't be picking on other people. And that to love yourself is a really natural state of being.
Right. Yeah.
I don't believe that that we were created by God, Great Spirit, all that is, or nothing at all. You know what I mean? Like the chance of genetics. I don't believe that we were born in order to beat up on ourselves. And I don't think zebras walk around going, "Oh God, if this stripe was in the wrong, if it was in a different spot, then I'd be a better zebra, then I'd be worthy." No, a zebra just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be a Leonie because Leonie was born to be a Leonie. So I can trust in the divine intelligence of that.
Mhm.
And I can back myself because it actually makes me feel good. And aren't we here in this world to feel good? So do
Yes.
I choose to say words that light up every cell in me? Or do I choose to be a dick to myself? And that would just totally bum me out and not make me kind or good to be around or do anything of use in this world. What do I choose? This feels fun and I get to do my work and enjoy my life and make magic happen, or this, which sucks balls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be
It's a
miserable.
really,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we take it from a logical decision, what do we choose here? And I also so firmly believe that the truth lights up ourselves, because we're like, "Oh, yeah, that's the truth." Even sometimes when the truth is difficult, it sort of also sets us free.
Right.
But that other malarkey, if you're like, "Oh God, ugh," I don't believe that's the truth.
Mhm.
And I think Byron Katie talks about that in her work as well,
She
where
does.
she sort of shows it. Who would you be if you didn't believe those thoughts that are really bumming you out?
Yeah. Yeah. I like her work very much. No pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah,
Her words, I mean, she was brilliant to choose them because you can't avoid saying it every time you talk about it, right? Her work.
right.
Work.
Yeah,
Come
that's the
on,
work.
Katie. But yeah, I agree. Oh, okay. Darn, we're coming to the close, which I wish we weren't. So hopefully we could talk again in another time. I'd love that.
That'd be magic. I'd love that, Jen.
But before we close, I have just a couple things I want to hold on to for a couple more minutes, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I'm free. I'm easy.
Okay. What do you want to do in the future? You're doing so many things now. What do you have goals, visions, plans, hopes, dreams for in the near future or far
Just
future?
keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
now just keep creating with whatever wants to be created. I'm not somebody who's a niche, like, like I have one niche and I just teach about that. Like I just teach about whatever I'm interested in. So at the moment, I've created a course called 40 Days to a Finished Book, which is about writing a book and self-publishing it or publishing it and getting marketing it. And then I also have money manifesting and multiple streams of income, just to share like all the stuff I know about finance. Um, and then I've got my goals workbooks, which I want to have as a New York Times bestseller every single year. Um, and they've been used by about 350,000 people worldwide now, which is super fun. And I want to even more people to be using them because it's so important to know your own goals. And for me, I just want to keep on keeping on. Like I want to keep on creating whatever wants to come forward. I want to keep on turning up and helping in whatever ways that I want to. And I want to keep on being my own best friend and having a really fun time with that.
I love that. And in fact, this will air in September, which is an excellent month for goal creation, in my opinion. So
Awesome.
we'll make sure that we have all the links, but we'll really encourage people to help set their goals with your books because
Oh,
20
awesome.
should
Yeah,
be
2020 should be out by then.
okay.
Yeah,
Good,
or
good.
very like within weeks of publication.
Okay, so we'll make sure that we have the
Thank
current
you.
links. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Um, did I not ask you anything that you want to add about anything at all?
No, I'm super happy.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to put all the links up. How do you like people to connect with you most? Through your newsletter, on social media? How do you
Newsletter.
like? Newsletter.
No social media. Yeah.
So many goodies
Um,
and okay.
yeah. Yeah. Social media is Borg. Because yeah, you'll go press like on something, but you'll never see them again.
It's so true. I know. I know. Yeah. We won't get on that track, but yes. So newsletters are great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Leonie, thank you so much. To be continued? Yes?
Yes, please. Oh, Jan, what a joy to connect with you. You're a beautiful, shining soul. Bless you, bless you, bless you.
Oh, thank you. Same to you. Okay. To be continued.